Okay, let's start with medieval times, our castle life research. Castles are rich in history, with its construction used primarily as defense shelter rather than some elaborate home we envision today. Castles were initially built from wood. Why do you suppose that didn't work out so well? If you guessed fires, then you are correct. Fires were hard to put out because they didn't have a very good watering system or a way to draw up water in which to put the fires out. And with the vast amount of wood that was in the construction of castles, this was a quick burning fire. It was an excellent way of attacking. The next material of choice was stone, which was plentiful, sturdy, and very thick and solid. Castles were generally built upon hills as another form of defense where guards could look from a distance to warn off attacks. Moats were often built around the castles to also help prevent attacks, and castles were built with a large drawbridge so that friends, or non-enemies, could enter by crossing over the moat, which is a very deep dug ditch. The keep is probably one of the more interesting aspects of a castle. It is the largest space inside the castle, and for those of us who have read our fairy tales, this is where Rapunzel might have been kept. But for the keep, it is generally a huge square tower with slotted windows so that archers can shoot from them. Below, the area is used for food and grain storage. I found a house plan for a castle that kind of details out some of the other areas found in castles. The barracks are the homes for knights and their families, and there was a great hall, which is a passageway to the lords or royalty's home dwellings and led directly to the keep. The keep kind of reminds me of a tornado shelter here in Kansas because the keep was used for storage and for safekeeping. The gatehouse is also an outbuilding which surrounds the gates and is where the guards stood watch. Many castles also housed a chapel for religious services. When looking at the vocabulary for the castle section, we've got the gatehouse, chapel, great hall, barracks, keep, drawbridge, and moat. Remember that the structures were built out of wood initially and built out of stone that still reside some today. Now, how might the structures of a castle differ from the structures of a house that we see in today's times? Just something to think about for discussion tomorrow.